This is You've Already Been Hacked, recorded on November 2021. This week, we're going to jump back to the news. I know we haven't done that in a little bit, only because we are working hard on the initial stages of the home lab, and there's really not much to update. We are tinkering a little bit with some operating systems and some SD cards, and sitting next to my desk here as I have the pile of old hardware that we're going to include into the home lab. But otherwise, it's still in the jumble of pieces stage. It's not in anything that's worth wasting your time about stage. So we'll get back to that here probably in a week or two as I'm able to spin up and make a little more progress. So on to the news. This week, a House Oversight Committee found that small lapses led to the series of ransomware attacks that we have recently been peppered with in the news. There was a memo released from the House Oversight and Reform Committee Tuesday. The memo was a result of a panel investigation into ransomware attacks against Colonial Pipeline, meat producer JBS USA, and the insurance group CNA Financial Corp. All of them were victims who paid the ransomware demands in order to ensure that their critical systems would be quickly brought back up online. A quote from the memo is, "Ransomware attacks took advantage of relatively minor security lapses, such as single user account controlled by a weak password to launch erroneously costly attacks," unquote. It went on to state, even larger organizations with seemingly robust security systems fell victim to simple initial attacks, highlighting the need to increase security education and take other security measures prior to an attack. Now, with that said, this is something we have discussed on this podcast, I discuss in my class and in my job on a regular basis. And all of these are examples of the attacker only needs to be right once. The defender needs to be right 100% of the time. The idea behind having cyber education across the workforce, having uniform standards, and increasing your security profile, all things I think we all agree on here in 2021. I think, though, that the ability to get there, regardless of any regulation or whatnot that may come down, is combating the burnout within your cybersecurity workforce, which we talked about on this podcast a few episodes back. Small lapses, like the ones they're talking about here, happen because people are overworked, overtaxed, and unable to fully pay attention. That needs to be addressed. Otherwise, these types of incidents are going to only continue to occur. There's nothing that will stop that from happening. And even if you gave everybody, half a year off, these types of things are still going to happen. But they may, not to say half a year off is the right thing, but if you find a way to make sure that your cyber professionals are not burning out, maybe these type of attacks become less frequent, and the ones that do get through are highly sophisticated, more costly for the attacker, and become, let's call them, more infrequent. I would never use the word rare in 2021. In the memo, it went on to state some of the chairman's concerns with all three of the companies being willing to pay ransom to international cyber criminals. The memo was published ahead of the hearing that was held by the Oversight and Reform panel this past Tuesday, which featured testimony from the National Cyber Director, Chris Inglis, and other top officials from the FBI and CISA. Members questioned the witnesses, in particular on efforts by the current president administration to push back against the major recent cyber attacks, particularly those carried out by cybercriminals based in Russia, which included those that attacked the companies in question here. Quote from the FBI was, "From an FBI perspective, we have not seen a decrease in ransomware attacks in the past couple of months originating from Russia. We do have incomplete data. In a best-case scenario, we're only seeing about 20% of the intrusions in the country. No different than our other government partners. So if that's true and we're only seeing 20%, what is the other 80% attacking? Because that to me is highly troubling and quite scary. All in all, I think that this is a good thing that Congress is addressing this and taking a look into it. In my class this past week, we talked about mitigation measures and relative cyber laws and where things are with different countries. And my students lean towards the GDPR and the CCPA, the California Cybersecurity Protection Act, as two strong models of what a national cyber law could include. I think there is some debate over whether or not GDPR and CCPA have it right. I think there are potentially some missteps within those regulations that could be addressed or revised, and I think that that should be incorporated into any sort of lessons learned before such legislation in the United States would go forward at a national level, if that was something that was going to occur. While the FBI was talking to Congress, it also dealt with this past week a compromise in one of its portals. The FBI confirmed this past week that the FBI.gov domain name and internet address were used to blast out thousands of fake emails about a cybercrime investigation. According to an interview with the person who claimed responsibility for the hoax, media found that the spam messages were sent by abusing insecure code in an FBI online portal designed to share information with state and local law enforcement authorities. So, again, simple mistake, right? Just like in our previous story. The emails went out late evening on the 12th of November to tens of thousands of addresses warning about a fake cyber attack. The emails came from an address eims@ic.fbi.gov. A review of the email headers, right, not content, metadata, indicated that it was definitely coming from FBI servers and from the agency's real internet address. The domain in the from portion of email corresponds to the FBI's Criminal Justice Information Services Division. According to the Department of Justice, CJIS manages and operates several national crime information systems used by public safety community agencies for both criminal and civil purposes. CJIS systems are available to criminal justice community, including law enforcement, jails, prosecutors, courts, as well as probation and pretrial services. The FBI has released two statements on what's occurred here. The most recent statement reads the follows. The FBI is aware of a software misconfiguration that temporarily allowed an actor to leverage the Law Enforcement Enterprise Portal, or LEAP, to send fake emails. LEAP is FBI IT infrastructure used to communicate with our state and local law enforcement partners. While the illegitimate email originated from an FBI-operated server, that server was dedicated to pushing notifications for LEAP and was not part of the FBI's corporate email service. No actor was able to access or compromise any data or personally identifiable information on the FBI's network. Once we learned of the incident, we quickly remediated the software vulnerability, warned partners to disregard the fake emails, and confirmed the integrity of our networks. And that ends the statement. If that's all true, the FBI did what it was supposed to do to remediate. One would ask, though, how this misconfiguration was there in the first place if they were monitoring it. Not to suggest that the people at the FBI do a bad job in what they do. But again, small mistakes are all that's necessary for an attacker to exploit a system and cause a problem. And that's, again, what we had happen here. Taking a look away from the government, Southern Ohio Medical Center was hit with a cyber attack early on November 11th, which forced the nonprofit provider into electronic health record, or EHR, downtime procedures. The ongoing outages have forced officials to divert ambulances and cancel some patient appointments, according to their social media. A statement released said, quote, an unauthorized third party gained access to SOMC's computer servers in what appears to be a targeted cyber attack. Patient care and safety remain our top priority as we work to resolve the situation as quickly as possible, unquote. With the patients having to cancel some of their appointments, they are being contacted directly by SOMC. And the most recent update, as of when I was able to pull all this information together, shows the downtime led to only Friday appointment cancellations, including outpatient medical imaging, cancer care services, cardiovascular testing, cardiac catheterization, outpatient surgery, and outpatient rehab, as well as appointments at the Medical Care Foundation office. So it wasn't just little things. It was definitely some more serious medical procedures that seem to have been delayed, hopefully only delayed in the short term. The fact that this is being perceived as a targeted cyber attack should be of no surprise to anyone that's been listening to the podcast over the past year and a half. With the rise in the pandemic, hospitals became a very target-rich environment for cyber actors to go after. It's unfortunate. It's actually quite kind of horrific and nightmarish when you think about the places that care for us in our deepest needs are the ones that are being attacked. And in many cases, they're going to do what these big infrastructure companies are. They're going to pay to get their systems back online. In this case, SOMC, they went back to pen and paper, which is why they had to cancel hundreds of appointments because of just the speed at which they were dealing with the administration of care, not the act of caring. Something we should all be concerned with, and ultimately, this is part of our critical infrastructure, right? And it seems to be a very, call it a soft underbelly in our critical infrastructure that is being attacked relentlessly. Hopefully, we collectively can find some level of solution space here to help out, to help mitigate this, to help slow it down. We need our medical centers, we need our hospitals, we need our care providers to be able to operate so that we can get the care we need when we need it. And finally, if it wasn't bad enough that they're attacking our critical infrastructure and small mistakes there, it looks even at the place where you try to stock up if you have said membership is under attack. Sorta. Card skimming devices have been found in Costco's. Costco Wholesale Corporation has warned customers in notification letters sent out this month that their payment card information might have been stolen while recently shopping at least one of their stores. The skimmer device had been planted inside the warehouse itself. Costco discovered the breach after finding a payment card skimming device during a routine check by Costco personnel. So what's good here is at least they are checking their devices. How long it was there, not sure yet. Company removed the device, notified authorities, and is now working with law enforcement to help investigate the incident. The notification going out to customers looks to be going out specifically to impacted ones, with the note saying, we recently discovered a payment card skimming device at our Costco warehouse you recently visited. And our records indicate that you swiped your payment card to make a purchase at the affected terminal during the time the device may have been operating. Customer payment information has likely been stolen. And what type of information could have been taken? Well, if the unauthorized parties were able to remove the information from the device before it was discovered, they may have acquired the magnetic strip information from the card, which includes the name of the individual, the card number, the expiration date, and the CVV. So, traditional scam, as it were, to just lift credit card numbers, etc. Not good. All right, don't mean to sound like I'm playing that down. But again, low tech wins in this particular scenario. The retailer has advised its customers to monitor their bank and credit card statements for fraudulent charges and report specific transactions to relevant financial authorities. While the company didn't reveal the exact timeline of the incident, Costco customers have complained about unauthorized transactions on their payment cards since at least February. That's all for the news this week. I'm your professor of cyber risk. We'll talk again soon. If you like this podcast, share it with your colleagues and friends. Your support is how we are able to continue to make this content. Thank you.